buried deep in the rock. Monopori utilizes the height difference between the western arm of the lake and the Deep Cove branch at Doubtful Sound, a drop of 230 meters, to drive the generators. Most of the energy generated here crosses the island, where it's used to smelt aluminium. These pylons were placed by helicopters and pilots like Bill Black and Hannibal Hayes. The power lines from Lake Monopori deliver energy to the southeastern corner of the country. Electricity travels 135 kilometers to the smelter, located near the port town of Bluff, overlooking Foveaux Strait. Aluminium oxide is processed at the smelter to produce the highest purity aluminium in the world. Southport is the southernmost port in New Zealand, providing services to international and coastal vessels, including the fishing fleet working the Southern Ocean. After the Lake Monopori controversy faded, a new threat emerged, this time a graceful, beautiful animal. Red deer were introduced into Fiordland for sport hunting in the 1850s. By the 1920s, with abundant food and no predators, deer had spread throughout the region and were causing extensive damage to native species of flora and fauna. In the 1930s, the government employed deer cullers. However, hunting on foot was not efficient, and in the 1970s, a new aerial industry was born, first shooting the deer in the wild, and then, as the population reduced, catching animals alive and relocating them to purpose-built farms. The government recruited helicopter pilots like Hannibal to help tag, trace, and transport the deer to farms. Today, deer control programs are confined to tag and release operations and monitoring of herds. In the south, there are many deer farms, and the animals graze quietly behind high fencing. Much of Fiordland is remote, and access only possible by foot or helicopter. Today, Hannibal often flies on search and rescue operations, evacuating sick or injured victims from locations inaccessible by any other means. rescue teams train frequently, preparing for difficult and demanding operations.
On any human long line loads, you and your crew work as one. It has to be that way. Because once you start winching, you're committed with someone going down on the wire. It's not as if all of a sudden, hey, I don't like the feel of the wind. You can't really fly away from the hill with safety with someone who's 50 or 60 feet below you, hanging on a winch arm. It's the pilot that calls the operation, if it can be done there or not. There's no common sense in losing 3 aircrew to save 1. That's just nuts to go and do that. So we'll give it our best shot, but once you start outflying your ability or outflying the performance of the aircraft because of the way the conditions are dictating it, you shouldn't be there. Sorry, it's bad luck. You're in that situation. We can't help you.
In the remote fiordland terrain, the road from Te Anau to Milford winds through the Eglinton Valley to the Homer Tunnel. The tunnel was constructed between 1935 and 1954. Travellers who stop here nearly always meet the inquisitive locals. Keas are intelligent, curious birds and are known to attack rubber parts of cars, often causing damage, or flying off with smaller items, including unguarded clothing and shoes. Before the tunnel was opened in 1954, the isolated residents of Milford had to rely on the postman's route to send anything in or out by land. The elevation of the tunnel's eastern portal end is 945 metres, and the road passes 1,270 metres through granite rock to the western portal. The road winds steeply down the Cledo Valley to Milford Sound. The Milford Track, first travelled by early Maori, was once the only way to Milford Sound and reaches a high point of 1,154 metres on the McKinnon Pass. Commencing at the head of Lake Te Anau and finishing at Milford, the track is 53 kilometres long. Mitre Peak rises 1,692 metres directly from the fjord. Milford Fjord runs 12 kilometres to the Tasman Sea, and in places is over 500 metres deep. It was created when the sea flooded a glacial valley. After rain, waterfalls in the hundreds cascade down the cliffs. Moisture-laden air from the Tasman Sea is forced to rise quickly over the steep mountain barrier, where it cools quickly, creating heavy rain and snow. This is the wettest inhabited place in New Zealand, with an abundance of life, rainforest clinging to even the steepest cliff. Milford is home base for Darren King Turner and his crew, motoring up the Sound after several days at sea catching crayfish.
At the moment we're fishing up to 40 or 50 miles north of Milford. Sometimes during the height of the season we may come back the same day and unload our product. Otherwise we can stay away for 1 or 2 nights depending on our catch rate. It's the best working environment that you could have. Our wallpaper changes every day.
Darren reaches the small settlement and ties up, his catch landed. Hannibal is also heading home. His flight path passes above the 580-metre Sutherland Falls. Water spills from Lake Quill, falling almost directly over the lip and down a near vertical mountain wall into a valley carved by ice. Flying in Fiordland can be spectacular, and Hannibal has seen this unique wilderness in all its wild, dramatic moods, colours and forms. Fiordland is landscape on a grand scale. A landscape which can only be truly appreciated from above.